We would never design a course that has too much material to cover it. I think the key issue is the depth in which you cover it. What we want is in-depth coverage of the controversies, which is about the outbreak of the Cold War and about appeasement, and the way that historians have interpreted and reinterpreted those stories over time. We want candidates to have a really good understanding of those and to be able to answer questions about those, and they take up 50 out of 65 marks on that paper. The rest of the course is designed to be background and context for those historical controversies, and in a way just to be sat back and relaxed and enjoy that narrative without worrying about having to note down every last event. The questions on them are relatively low stakes, and we really do see this as something to be enjoyed as background to those controversies.
Teaching the whole period can seem very daunting because we can see it from the perspective of having had international relations courses which were only 20 years long and is now nearly 80 years long. But what we've got to look at is the idea that we're looking for far less depth. What we're in fact looking for is the understanding of the period across the period. The mark scheme is only looking for either a 5-mark or a 10-mark answer, which is only a very small proportion of the exam marks, and so they don't need a huge amount of depth. They just need to understand the whole period, and that actually makes it very much more straightforward because you realise that you can chop a lot of stuff out.
From what we understand, most teachers are starting with the International Relations Unit for Spec A, and there's plenty of really great resource material for that. Obviously, we have the textbooks and there's the old favourites of the BBC and the National Archives, but OCR has actually invested heavily in this unit as well, and it's produced an interactive timeline resource for the International Relations Unit, so you can look across the whole period, click on key dates, call up video clips or other media clips, extra information about particular events, and there are some quizzes in there as well. So it's designed to be, it can be used in a classroom, but it's also designed to be used by students on their own as well, who are sort of investigating further or pursuing their own interests. So, you know, we hope that will be useful, as well as all the other resources that teachers have in their cupboards. And the team at OCR are always looking at new resources as well. So if you want any further information, just get in touch with them.
The international relations tool is very, very useful as it allows students to see events in their context and also to see how events transpire over time, which some students can sometimes find difficult to visualise and conceptualise.
We've been learning about international relationships. So right now we're learning about appeasement. Before we learnt about the League of Nations in the 1920s and then the League of Nations in the 1930s, which was basically the outcome of the League and why it was made.
I was worried about how much content we had to cover because there's a lot of space between the different years, but when we got into it, it didn't seem that much because there wasn't that much to cover because everything took space over several years and not just one.